Maya never thought that working at a small airport would lead to something dangerous. She was just a 16-year-old girl trying to help her mom pay the bills. Every weekend, she worked part-time, cleaning hangars, carrying tools for mechanics, and sometimes just watching the planes take off and land. She loved airplanes. She dreamed of becoming an aerospace engineer one day. But for now, she was just a girl in an old jumpsuit, working quietly in the background. That afternoon, the sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. The private planes parked on the runway gleamed under the golden light. Maya was finishing up for the day when she noticed something unusual. A sleek white jet stood near the hangar, ready for takeoff in a few hours. Maya had seen it before, belonging to some rich businessman. But what caught her eye was a small panel near the fuel line. It was slightly open, and that was strange. She knew mechanics checked the planes before takeoff, but they never left anything undone. As she walked closer, she saw a man in a gray jumpsuit standing near the plane. He wasn't one of the usual workers. She had never seen him before. He kept glancing around like he didn't want to be seen. Then he quickly shut the panel, picked up his toolbox, and walked away fast, disappearing behind the hangar. Maya felt uneasy. Something about the way he moved seemed off. Normally, workers didn't act so nervous. Her heart started beating faster. Maybe she was imagining things, but she had learned to trust her gut. She knew a lot about planes, and if that panel was connected to the fuel system, a small problem could turn into something serious midair. She took a deep breath and decided to check it out. She looked around, making sure no one was watching, then slowly walked up to the plane. With shaking hands, she touched the panel. It wasn't locked properly. That was a bad sign. Carefully, she opened it and gasped. Something was wrong. A wire that should have been neatly connected was loosely hanging. It looked like someone had tampered with it. Maya's stomach twisted. This wasn't normal maintenance. This was sabotage. If this plane took off like this, something terrible could happen. She stepped back, her mind racing. What should she do? She was just a teenage girl. No one would listen to her, but she couldn't ignore this. Someone's life could be in danger. Suddenly, she remembered the man in the gray jumpsuit. Had he done this on purpose? And why? She needed to act fast. Taking a deep breath, Maya ran toward the main building. She had to find the owner of the jet, the millionaire who was supposed to fly soon. She had to stop him before it was too late. Little did she know, her warning would change everything. Maya ran as fast as she could, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know exactly who the owner of the plane was, but she had heard people talking about him before. His name was James Calloway, a famous millionaire in the tech world. He was powerful, important, and probably surrounded by bodyguards. Would he even listen to her? She didn't have time to think about that. She pushed open the glass doors of the airport's private lounge, breathing heavily. The place was fancy. Soft leather chairs, big glass windows, and people in expensive suits. At the far end of the room, a man stood talking to his assistants. He was tall, dressed in a crisp black suit, and had a serious look on his face. Even from a distance, Maya knew this had to be James Calloway. She hesitated for a second, then shook her head. No, she couldn't back down now. She stepped forward, but before she could get close, a security guard blocked her path. "Hey, kid, where do you think you're going?" the guard asked, looking her up and down. She was wearing her dusty work jumpsuit, her sneakers were worn out, and she had grease stains on her hands. She didn't look like someone important. "I need to talk to Mr. Calloway. It's urgent," she said, trying to push past. The guard frowned. "You can't just walk up to him. Do you have an appointment?" "No, but his plane. It's been sabotaged," Maya blurted out. The guard's expression changed slightly, but he still didn't move. "What are you talking about?" "There's something wrong with his jet. Someone messed with the fuel system. If he takes off, the plane could crash." Her voice was desperate now. Before the guard could answer, another voice spoke up. What's going on here? Maya turned and found herself face to face with James Calloway himself. He looked calm but curious, his sharp eyes studying her. His assistant stopped talking and stared at her too. Maya swallowed hard. "Sir, I work at the airport. I just saw a man tampering with your plane. I checked, and something is wrong with the fuel system. You can't take off. It's not safe." Calloway raised an eyebrow. "And how exactly do you know this?" Maya's hands clenched into fists. "I love airplanes. I study them. I know when something isn't right." One of his assistants chuckled. "Sir, she's just a kid, probably imagining things." Maya felt anger rise in her chest. "I'm not making this up. Please, just have someone check the plane. If I'm wrong, fine, but if I'm right." Calloway held up a hand, silencing everyone. He studied Maya for a long moment, then turned to his pilot. "Go check the plane. Now." The pilot nodded and hurried out. The room fell silent. Maya stood there, her heart still racing, wondering if Calloway would believe her once the truth came out. The minutes felt like hours as Maya stood in the middle of the luxurious airport lounge, waiting for the pilot to return. Her hands were sweaty, and her heart pounded in her chest. What if they didn't find anything? What if they thought she was lying? James Calloway stood nearby, his arms crossed, his sharp eyes fixed on her. His assistants whispered among themselves, throwing doubtful glances in her direction. The security guard still stood close by, ready to escort her out at any moment. Then the pilot returned, his face pale. He walked straight to Calloway and leaned in to whisper something. Calloway's expression darkened. His jaw tightened, and for a second, he didn't say a word. Maya's stomach twisted. Had they found something? Calloway turned slowly, his eyes locking onto Maya's. "You said someone tampered with my jet," he said in a low voice. "You were right." A murmur spread through the room. His assistants looked at each other in shock. Even the security guard shifted uncomfortably. "What did you find?" Calloway asked his pilot. The pilot took a deep breath. "The fuel system was altered. It looks like someone loosened a key connection. If we had taken off, fuel pressure would have dropped mid-flight, and the engines could have failed." He shook his head. It would have been a disaster. A heavy silence fell over the room. Calloway's face was unreadable, but his eyes burned with intensity. He turned back to Maya. "How did you notice this?" Maya took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. "I was finishing my work when I saw a man near your jet. He wasn't one of the usual workers, and he looked nervous. After he left, I checked the plane and saw the open panel. When I looked inside, I knew something was wrong." Calloway stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned to his security team. "Find that man." His voice was calm, but there was an edge of steel in it. The guards immediately sprang into action, speaking into their radios as they rushed out of the room. Maya felt a mix of relief and fear. She had done the right thing. But now, everything felt even more dangerous. Who was that man? Why had he sabotaged the plane? Was this just a random act, or was someone trying to hurt Calloway? One of the assistants cleared his throat. "Sir, we should delay your flight until we know more." Calloway nodded. "Cancel the trip. We're not taking any risks." Then he looked at Maya again. His eyes, which had been so doubtful before, were now filled with something else. Respect. "You just saved my life," he said quietly. Maya felt a lump in her throat. She had only done what she thought was right. But as she stood there, surrounded by powerful people, she realized that this was just the beginning. Something bigger was happening, and she was now caught in the middle of it. Maya stood frozen as security guards rushed out of the lounge to find the man who had sabotaged the plane. The air in the room felt heavy. Everyone was whispering, throwing nervous glances at James Calloway, who remained still, deep in thought. His flight had been moments away from disaster. If Maya hadn't spoken up, the headlines would have told a very different story by morning. Calloway's pilot stayed by his side, still shaken. "Sir, I checked everything. That was no accident. Someone deliberately loosened the fuel line. If we hadn't caught it, the plane wouldn't have made it far. Calloway's jaw tightened, which means someone wanted me dead. The word sent a shiver down Maya's spine. This wasn't just sabotage. This was an attempt on his life. But why? Who would do something like this? Just then, one of the security guards returned, looking frustrated. "We searched the airport, sir. The man is gone. He must have left right after Maya spotted him." Calloway's eyes darkened. "Check the security footage. I want to know exactly who he is." The guard nodded and hurried off again. Maya felt her throat go dry. "Mr. Calloway, do you think it was just some random person? Or do you think someone planned this?" Calloway looked at her, his sharp gaze softening slightly. "I don't believe in coincidences, Maya." He let out a slow breath. Someone went to a lot of trouble to make this look like an accident. A cold feeling settled in her stomach. This was bigger than she had imagined. Minutes later, the security team returned with a laptop, showing the airport's surveillance footage. Everyone gathered around as the screen flickered to life. There he was, the man Maya had seen near the plane. He walked confidently into the restricted area, wearing a mechanic's uniform. But then, something strange happened. The camera caught a close-up of his ID badge. One of Calloway's assistants gasped, "Sir, that's one of our former employees." Calloway's expression hardened. "What?" The assistant quickly pulled out his phone and scrolled through some emails. "His name is Robert Vance. He used to work for our company. He was fired 2 months ago for leaking confidential information to a competitor." Maya's eyes widened. "So he had a reason to be angry at you." Calloway clenched his fists. "And now, it looks like he wanted revenge." The room fell silent. This wasn't just a random act of sabotage. It was personal. Calloway's security team wasted no time. "We'll alert the authorities and track his last movements. He couldn't have gone far." Maya took a step back, suddenly realizing something. She was now part of this. She was the one who had seen Robert Vance. She was the one who had stopped the plane from taking off. And if Vance knew that, would he come after her next? That night, Maya couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the man. Robert Vance, walking away from the plane, his hands covered in grease, his movements quick and nervous. He had almost killed James Calloway. And if she hadn't spoken up, no one would have known until it was too late. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling of the small apartment she shared with her mother. Her mind raced with questions. Was Vance still nearby? Did he know she had exposed him? Would he try to hurt her for ruining his plan? A sudden noise made her jump. It was just the wind rattling the window, but her heart pounded. She took a deep breath and reminded herself that she was safe, or at least she hoped she was. The next morning, she got ready for work as usual. But just as she was about to leave, her mother stopped her at the door. "Maya, wait," her mom said, her face full of worry. "I saw the news this morning. They said someone tried to sabotage a private jet at the airport. That was Calloway's plane, wasn't it?" Maya hesitated. She hadn't told her mom everything. She didn't want to scare her. "Yeah, but they caught it before anything happened," she said carefully. Her mother frowned. "And I heard a young girl was the one who noticed it. Was that you?" Maya sighed. There was no point in hiding it now. "Yes, Mom, it was me." Her mom's eyes widened in shock. "Maya, this is serious. Whoever did this could be dangerous. You shouldn't be getting involved in things like this." "I didn't mean to get involved," Maya said, her voice calm but firm. "I just saw something wrong, and I spoke up." Her mother shook her head, looking both proud and afraid. "I just want you to be safe." Before Maya could answer, there was a knock on the door. Her mom stiffened. Maya slowly walked over and peeked through the peephole. Her breath caught. James Calloway was standing outside, and behind him were 2 security guards. Maya quickly opened the door. "Mr. Calloway." Calloway gave her a small nod. "Maya, I'm sorry to show up like this, but I needed to make sure you were okay." Her mother stepped forward. "What's going on?" Calloway looked serious. "Robert Vance is still missing. We don't know where he is, and that worries me. Maya is the one who exposed his plan. If he finds out, he might try to silence her." Maya felt her stomach drop. She had been afraid of this. Her mother's face turned pale. "So, you think she's in danger?" Calloway sighed. "I don't want to take any risks. I want to offer Maya and you a safe place to stay until Vance is caught." Maya looked at her mom. She could see the fear in her eyes, but she also knew that saying no wasn't an option. She had stopped a dangerous man's plan, and now that man might be looking for her. Maya and her mother packed a few things and left with James Calloway's security team. It all felt unreal. Just yesterday, she was a normal girl working at the airport, and now she was being protected like someone important. They drove through the city in a black SUV with tinted windows. Maya stared outside, her mind spinning. Was Robert Vance really looking for her? Was she really in danger? It was hard to believe, but the fear in Calloway's voice told her everything she needed to know. After a while, they reached a gated property. The house was huge, modern, with glass windows and tall trees surrounding it. Security guards stood at the entrance, checking everything before letting them in. Inside, Calloway led them to a guest room. "You'll be safe here," he assured them. "My security team is watching every entrance. No one gets in without permission." Maya's mother sat on the edge of the bed, still shaken. "I don't understand. Why would that man come after my daughter?" Calloway sighed. "Because she ruined his plan. He tried to take my life, and now his secret is out. He may see Maya as a threat." Maya swallowed hard. She had only done what was right, but now she was caught in something much bigger than herself. A security guard walked in. "Sir, we've been tracking Robert Vance's last movements. He was spotted near a motel about 10 miles from here. But then he disappeared." Calloway frowned. "Keep looking. He can't hide forever." Maya shivered. The thought of Vance being out there, possibly looking for revenge, made her stomach twist. Later that evening, Calloway sat down with Maya and her mother. "Maya, I have to ask, how did you know something was wrong with the plane?" Most people wouldn't have noticed. Maya hesitated, then said, "I love planes. I study them. I want to be an aerospace engineer one day. When I saw the open panel and the loose wire, I knew it wasn't normal." Calloway's expression softened. "You have a sharp mind. Not everyone would have caught that. You saved my life." Maya felt a warmth in her chest. She had never been praised like this before, especially by someone so powerful. Before they could continue talking, another guard rushed in. "Sir, we just received a report. Robert Vance was seen near the airport again." Maya's heart skipped a beat. Calloway stood up. "That means he's trying to cover his tracks. Or worse, he's planning something else." Maya's mother grabbed her hand, fear in her eyes. "What if he's looking for Maya?" Calloway turned to his guards. "Increase security around the house. If he comes near, I want to know immediately." Maya took a deep breath. She had thought this nightmare was over, but it was far from finished. Robert Vance wasn't done yet, and she had a feeling the worst was still to come. The tension in the house was thick. Maya could feel it in every corner, in the way the security guards moved, in the way her mother kept glancing at the windows. The thought of Robert Vance being nearby sent chills down her spine. Calloway was in constant contact with his team. His phone kept ringing with updates, but none of them were good. Vance had disappeared again, and no one knew where he would strike next. Maya sat on the couch, trying to focus on anything else, but it was impossible. She was scared, but more than that, she was frustrated. "We know he's dangerous," she said suddenly. "We know he wants to cover his tracks. But we're just waiting. What if he's planning something worse?" Calloway looked at her, his sharp eyes studying her carefully. "What are you thinking?" Maya hesitated, then sat up straighter. Vance tried to sabotage your plane, but he failed. He's probably angry. If he really wants revenge, he might try something bigger, something more direct. Calloway nodded slowly. You might be right. He turned to one of his guards. Make sure all our security cameras are being monitored. If he comes near, we'll be ready. Maya wasn't sure if that would be enough. Vance had managed to get near the plane without being noticed. He was careful, smart. Would he really be caught that easily? Then a thought hit her. Wait, she said, standing up. What if he's not coming here? Calloway and the others turned to look at her. What if he's going back to the airport to finish what he started? She continued. We've been thinking he's after you, but what if he's after the plane? Calloway's eyes widened slightly. You think he wants to destroy it completely? Maya nodded. Maybe. He couldn't bring it down in the air. So what if he's planning to destroy the evidence? If the plane is gone, no one will be able to prove what he did. For a moment, there was silence. Then Calloway grabbed his phone. Get a team to the hangar. Now. The guards moved quickly, calling in reinforcements. Maya's heart pounded as they rushed to the cars. Calloway motioned for her and her mother to stay behind, but Maya refused. I have to go, she insisted. If I was right before, I might be right now. Calloway hesitated, then finally nodded. Stay close to me. They drove fast, racing toward the airport. The night air was cold, and Maya's hands felt clammy. She didn't know if she was right, but something in her gut told her Vance wasn't done yet. As they neared the private hangar, Calloway's phone rang. He answered, listening for a few seconds before his face darkened. He's there, he said grimly. We were right. Vance is trying to destroy the plane. Maya's heart pounded. This was it. The final confrontation was about to begin. The SUV screeched to a stop near the private hangar. Maya's heart pounded as she looked out the window. The area was dimly lit, and everything seemed quiet. But she knew better. Robert Vance was here. Calloway's security team moved quickly, spreading out and surrounding the hangar. Calloway turned to Maya. Stay in the car. It's not safe. But Maya shook her head. I have to see this through. Calloway hesitated, then gave her a sharp nod. Stay close. They stepped out, moving carefully toward the hangar. The large doors were slightly open, and inside, Maya could see a shadow moving. A figure crouched near the jet, placing something under the wing. A security guard whispered into his radio. Confirmed. It's Vance. He's planting an explosive. Maya gasped. This was worse than she had thought. Vance wasn't just trying to cover his tracks. He was trying to destroy everything. If that bomb went off, the entire hangar would be in flames. Calloway's voice was calm but firm. We need to stop him. Now. The guards moved in, their footsteps silent. But at the last moment, something went wrong. One of the guards accidentally kicked a metal toolbox. The sound echoed through the hangar. Vance's head snapped up. His eyes widened, and without hesitation, he grabbed the detonator in his hand. Stay back, he shouted, his voice filled with panic. I'll blow it up. Maya's breath caught in her throat. If he pressed that button, everything would be gone. Calloway stepped forward, his hands raised. Vance, think about what you're doing. Vance shook his head, his face full of anger. You ruined my life, Calloway. I lost my job, my career. And now, because of her, he pointed at Maya. I have nothing left. Maya's heart pounded. She could see the desperation in his eyes. He wasn't thinking clearly. She took a deep breath and did something no one expected. She stepped forward. Maya. No, Calloway warned. But she kept walking, her voice calm. Vance, you don't have to do this. This won't fix anything. Vance's hands trembled. You don't understand. I do, Maya said gently. You're angry. You feel like you lost everything. But if you do this, it won't change the past. It will only destroy your future. Vance's eyes darted around. His grip on the detonator loosened slightly. Maya took another step. It's over. Let it go. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, Vance's shoulders sagged. His fingers loosened, and the detonator slipped from his hand. The guards moved instantly, tackling him to the ground and securing the bomb. Maya let out a shaky breath. It was over. As the police arrived and took Vance away, Calloway turned to Maya, his expression filled with gratitude. "You saved my life twice," he said. "You have a rare gift, Maya. You don't just see things. You make things right." Maya smiled, relief washing over her. This had been the scariest moment of her life. But deep down, she knew one thing. She had done the right thing.